there is nearly none on the New Zealand team. Maybe they can catch him off guard. Maybe they have the element of surprise.
Well, they're definitely going to need it here, folks. Make some noise because it's time for our first game. It's USA facing off against New Zealand, and who better to take it away than ZP and Hexagrams.
Thank you, Golden Boy. Of course, we're here in Los Angeles in front of an absolutely amazing crowd. I'm ZP and joined by the one and only Hexagrams.
As you mentioned, we're in beautiful California, but I'm exactly where I want to be. We've got the best Overwatch in the world about to get started, and we're going to kick it off. USA versus New Zealand, teams that we know pretty well. And as they mentioned on the desk, I think New Zealand has a shot in this one because they could surprise them.
Well, New Zealand is a case where we don't know as much about them, whereas you take a look at Team USA, these are players that we're very comfortable with. There are no names in the scene, and we'll have to see if they can live up to the expectations that are put on them here today.
Early on, New Zealand wants to play a style where they throw new things at Team USA. They know what the other teams are going to run, and they're very confident in what they're going to run. But the question is it going to be enough execution-wise? Because we have all-stars on every team that they're going to face. But they were very confident. They said, it's good that we're facing the USA early because we might be able to throw some curveballs at them.
Absolutely. This is a case where New Zealand, of course, are more of an unknown quantity. And for Team USA, if they underestimate them, it could be their doom. But Hex, not only are we physically in LA right now, we are also going to sunny Hollywood.
Very fitting. One of my favorite maps. We are in Hollywood here and in California. I always like to see the sunshine on the screen. And do you think this might favor USA? We talk a little bit about USA and mostly the region liking to run Pharmacy, a good map for running a Pharah and a Mercy combination.
The one thing about this Team USA team is that they are very versatile. They have multiple tricks up their sleeve. We'll see what they throw at New Zealand here to begin with, but you know, talking with Team USA, they're out here to make a statement. They don't just want to win, they want to dominate.
Absolutely, and I think that's what the home crowd here expects. This crowd, it's been fantastic to see filling up here. Right now, the USA will be on the attack first. Defending will be Team New Zealand. Team New Zealand did tell us a little bit that they like to run a little slower strategy, not necessarily the ultra-mobile, highly aggressive dive compositions, but it does seem like they're running something like that now on defense, CP.
Now you take a look at Team USA. This is interesting. They're not coming out here in more of your standard dive. They're coming up in a triple tank formation. And what do we see here but Sinatra going to be coming in on the Zarya?
Sinatra, one of the absolute best Zaryas in the entire world. Mostly just how well he plays it allows him to get his ultimate ability up so quickly. And Graviton is a fight-defining ultimate.
Well, the first fight already underway. Team USA just getting directly onto the point, pushing New Zealand back into the cafe area. And what we see from USA right now, they are dominating space. They already have almost 2 ticks, and they're pushing New Zealand back.
New Zealand not even in fighting condition right now. What is with Sinatra? He's at 99% on the charge. How does this man do it? He's an absolute magician on the Zarya, and the Zarya is such a great addition to these rosters because it counters the Diva.
And this was just effortless by Team USA. They're going to clean up New Zealand and take the first point.
Not only did they clean them up, but you start looking at all they gained through that just based on ultimate percentages going forward. Sinatra already nearing that Graviton. Jake has already used a Pulse Bomb, and this is the kind of situation that can really lead itself to snowballing forward.
Absolutely. I mean, we like to talk about how good Sinatra is at building his ultimate charge. He almost has that Graviton surge up. He's at 93%. He will have it for the next fight, and this is dangerous for New Zealand. USA might be building some serious momentum here.
Absolutely. They're going to be able to use whatever they want. They've got a whole lot at their disposal here, and Sinatra now comes online with that Graviton. New Zealand has to know that this is going to be online. They took a lot of that damage from Zarya. They need to spread out and play around it.
And Sinatra now looking for the right way to throw this in. Doesn't want to throw it into the defensive matrix, but here we have Will X into the back line. 2 kills here from New Zealand. They're striking right back. And Sinatra, you just got to hold on to that Graviton surge this time.
They absolutely needed that fight. The individual play from Willix slows down the United States, and you have to have those stabilizing fights to stop that snowball from growing, to stop the momentum. Now you can reset, take a breath, nerves are starting to dissipate.
And again, you look at New Zealand right now, they do have options here for the next fight. Sure, the United States might have the Graviton surge, but the EMP could be crucial in this next fight.
You can't use Graviton if you're EMP, so Signed, if he can find a good way in here to start off this fight and get the cleanup, the Grav comes out.
Graviton comes in, and the USA diving right in. 3-2 in USA's favor here as they look to take this fight in their favor. Jake, still alive, working around the back line, darting back and forth, getting the consistent damage that he needs, and Team USA, it's looking like they've struck right through.
Sign did use his EMP during that. Of course, not all the abilities available. He didn't get everyone in it, and the United States got the majority of those kills, even though Sign with some individual play grabbed a couple. United States now going to stagger their ultimates. Will have a sound barrier or primal rage to start this next fight.
Well, the great thing here for the United States is that they can open up with the sound barrier and really set the engagement on their own terms. Jake, already in the back line, being a huge distraction, making New Zealand look to two fronts. They can't get through the front door, and they're getting attacked from the back, and that's where it's going to be huge. And oh my goodness, USA, they get the point.
There needs to be a more aggressive engagement from New Zealand, but in the counterpoint, United States is taking space away. We saw it on the first point, they push him through the doorway. You see it on the second point, pushing him through the doorway. New Zealand's having a very difficult time finding entry because the United States is blocking these doors.
Well, they're blocking the doors, again, Jake being the distraction in the back. New Zealand, they lost sight of the point, and they gave it up, and they could have done a little bit more to contest it, and now the United States, 4 minutes and 30 seconds, X. This is a great time.
They've also done an excellent job of using the ultimates in the right time and moment, staggering them throughout, as they are going to have a couple combinations going forward. We saw New Zealand win the one fight off the back of Willex's blade. He's got that blade up again.
Willex right now certainly needs to give New Zealand a little bit of stability. We'll see if he can do it. But meanwhile, you have Jake in the back, still being the distraction. Legabro was engaging, taken down by Sinatra at USA. Not flashy, but very effective. They're going to go with the Transcendence, and that's going to neutralize a lot here from Willex, but will be enough.
Willex is able to take down Jake, who's been such a problem for them. Jake has, I don't think, even died this entire game. They will end up getting a couple kills traded back and forth off the back of the United States tanks, and though the DPS showed up for New Zealand, not enough, as Sinatra continues to run wild, has another grab ready.
This is why Sinatra built ultimate so quickly. He's so deadly in the Zarya, and now has what could be the cleanup graviton. United States leading their way to victory. He's going to drop the graviton, gets Willex, and the United States, they're almost there.
Sinatra, largely known as a tracer player, but those skill sets transfer over. The tracking, a desperation sound barrier towards the end is going to keep New Zealand alive and in fighting condition, but they need to convert this into eliminations.
They do, but for the United States, this is great. They haven't lost anyone here yet. They're able to get the kills they need. New Zealand looking for a miracle, looking for anything, and they're not getting much. Adam might fall, but the United States just a little bit away, and they're going to take this first round.
Willex did his best there. He was the saving grace of this New Zealand team. Not enough, though. And that's another thing we don't think about really with Zarya. Genji can be so good with his deflects, but you cannot deflect Zarya's primary weapon.
That crowd is excited right now, Hex. They are absolutely into this. The United States right now putting on a bit of a show, throwing New Zealand back. And now the question is, will New Zealand be able to respond with an offense of their own?
They need a little bit, I think, more out of their tanks to control space, because that was the most glaring thing to me, is that they got pushed back, and it wasn't necessarily that the United States was getting eliminations or kills even, but they just pushed them back into the early cafe on Hollywood, into the lower level there. On second point, they couldn't get out, so they need their tanks to control a little bit more space to allow their DPS the room to work.
I think part of the problem for New Zealand is that you're right in that their tanks are having trouble getting good initiations, but just on a mechanical level, the United States across the board was just better at getting early eliminations to set things on the right foot, where New Zealand is difficult for them to get an early kill, something that they could work off. You had that one moment with Willex with the Dragon Blade in the middle of Streets phase, but other than that, the United States was in firm control the entire map long. And New Zealand, if they're going to reverse course here, they need to find something else here. They certainly need to raise the level of mechanical play.
Absolutely. As United States team, I mean, having talked to them, they're the perfect embodiment of this nation. They're ultra confident, bordering on cocky, and I love talking to these guys. The New Zealand team also has a great sense of national pride, and if they can tap into that passion that they showed when we spoke to them, that could be an X factor for them. Just find something, dig deep, and get in there. Right now on the defense, it is going to be a very similar composition we saw the USA run last time, but Raucus will play Ana. Raucus, an extremely versatile support player. You see anything a little out of the ordinary from the offense of New Zealand, ZP?
Well, coming out from the offense of New Zealand, no, not really. They are going to be running the offense of Sombra, though you don't always see it in Hollywood, but it can be very effective. It's going to make a big deal for them in building that early EMP, which oftentimes means that you poke in early on, go back, and charge the EMP in a process.
USA kind of messing around up front there, making them take a little bit of time. Sign's back here. He's going to try to get a little damage, and then he will translocate out. That is all that the Sombra wants to do early on. Get those packs, get the ultimate charged up.
And right now, New Zealand, they're coming into that back alleyway right now, looking for a way in the United States. They know what's coming, and they're going to be looking to set their own terms of this engagement. They're just waiting right now, giving New Zealand a little bit of room. New Zealand, they back out.
Yeah, Jake got a little bit over ambitious there. He was trying to 1v1 Sombra in the backline, which should favor Tracer unless she got hacked and he gets taken down. Fight commences.
After that early pick, now we see New Zealand able to start setting the terms of their own engagement. United States, can they fight back? It's looking unlikely. They're already down 3 players. New Zealand just needs a little bit more, but Jake, he's back in the fight. He's going to try and turn this one around.
It has been all Sombra from Sign. He has thrown a wrench in their plans. Perhaps the USA not expecting the offensive Sombra, something a little out of the ordinary. He's got ultimate ready, but if you had your druthers here, you would like to save EMP for the next fight. I think they've gotten enough that they don't have to use it, but USA is not giving this up for free.
USA is not giving it up for free, but they have very little left to give right now. It's almost captured here for New Zealand. The United States, they're diving in one more time. Sinatra moving in, but signed. It's another 2 kills for him. His Sombra so far has been great. And we'll see if the United States can bring this back. They do invest the sound barrier into this fight.
They invested sound barrier after they already forced some ultimates out of New Zealand. They knew they had free money to work with, and they will push them back off of the Graviton. They did so much damage in there. They had to use a lot, though, so now the economy is going to flip back in favor of New Zealand, but already a better defense for the United States on point A.
For the US, that was very sketchy in the beginning, but they were able to fight it back. And now for New Zealand, down to 2 minutes. This is not where you want to be. You're trying to beat the lightning fast time that USA was able to set.
And Jake's been very annoying in the back line. He's delayed them from getting out by 5 or 10 seconds each time they pushed in. Blade is ready. Sound barrier comes off, ZP.
Sound barrier's in, and here comes Willix. Dragon Blade out, looking to pierce right through. Fighting Sinatra into the cafe, slicing, but will get taken down. Still, though, it's a good opening here for New Zealand. 2-1 in their favor. But look at Coolbat right now. Still at full HP, still working around. He's so good for delaying for the United States right now, and let's see what he does.
Well, you get Factor Fiction in there, too. That has been one of the overlooked strengths of this United States team. The EMP comes off from Sign, but is there the follow-up? There is a little bit from Huwu, able to take down one of the tank duos there. Jake actually gets the boost. You don't see a boosted Tracer too often, and that might be why.
Well, when Tracer gets boosted, she says, nobody can stop me now. Sign disagrees. Sign has been great so far for New Zealand. Really, they're rocking, keeping these fights alive, but the problem is the United States is tenacious. They're getting back onto this point, and they're about to have a Graviton, which could seal the doom here for New Zealand.
The United States had a lot of good tank players audition for this team, and a lot of people had different opinions about who should be on there. But what stood out about Fact and Matt together is they work well together. Ideally, you want your tanks to be one ultimate hero working in combination, and that's what they do so well.
All right, final opportunity right now coming up for New Zealand. This is a must-win fight, but they're going to be running into what could be a blender. Sinatra has the Graviton up. United States can protect themselves with the sound barrier. We'll see how this one works as New Zealand begins their approach.
Sinatra's going to be the man to watch right now. Is it going to be a small battle between him and the opposing Diva? Can he get that grab off, or will it get gobbled up by the defense matrix? Factor Fiction already takes one down. They were trading back and forth, CP.
Factor Fiction gets that first kill, and now it's 5-on-5 right now. United States not able to get too much off their Graviton, but Factor Fiction still rumbling and stumbling in around the point. Gets the kill on the Cantus, and the U.S. holding firm off of that tank play. Factor Fiction and Coolbat holding the fort. 5 seconds remaining, and this is looking like this first map will go the way of the United States.
It has absolutely been the tank show for the United States right now. Not only was it Factor Fiction, not only was it Matt 69, but also Sinatra flexing onto the tank as well. He did so well on that Zarya. I think we're going to see a lot of Sinatra on Zarya today.
For Sinatra, why would he swap? We know that he has one of the best Zaryas in the Western scene. We thought he'd be coming out a little bit more in the Tracer, but his Zarya play good enough here on the first map. The United States starting off strong.
Absolutely, and this is exactly how they wanted to start out. It was their pick early on, but now New Zealand gets to have map control here, as they're going to be the ones picking our next map. And there were some bright spots for New Zealand that they just need to capitalize on a little more. They did have very good Sombra play. Sign played really well. Willix had good ultimate play. And if they can just get more people coming online, they might be able to take a map.
Well, it's very interesting because oftentimes it's not the Sombra that you look to sort of get those key kills early on. The Sombra is more about control, but Sign was able to finish the damage that New Zealand was putting in, and they came very close to getting that first point very quickly. It just wasn't quite enough. So if they could get a little bit more contribution, it might be what they need to turn some of these fights more in their favor. But our hybrid map, of course, is done. We are going to be looking to control next, and we'll see if New Zealand can brighten their prospects in a moment.
Control is a mode that New Zealand likes to play. It's a little bit more brawly, and one of their favorite maps in control mode And a lot of actually teams in this overall stop favored Lijiang Tower. In the United States, not necessarily the biggest fans of it. So this could be a map that might lead to an upset for New Zealand just based on the map and map alone.
The problem there, though, is that if you look at how things went in the last map, the United States was crushing on mechanical play for the most part. Yes, they had better ultimate economy if you really break it down, but New Zealand wasn't able to take those fights as evenly as they would have liked, and Control is a game type that really does rest heavily on your mechanical play, so New Zealand is going to need more from players like Rolex, where he had great Dragon Blades, but can he get the key mechanical kills as Genji working with a player like Sun?
I wonder if New Zealand perhaps outthought themselves, because what they told us is they prefer a much slower style, that they like running tanks, they like running a Reinhardt. They've got the best Oceanic Zarya in the game in Huwu. He's a top-tier Zarya. They didn't see any Zarya there. So maybe they were trying something just to throw the USA off, but I think at a baseline you have to go back to what are your really best at and try to ride that out. So I'll see if they switch compositions. They're also a team that doesn't like switching compositions once they've picked one. They feel that it puts you so far behind in the ultimate game that if you start with a composition, something has to go very, very wrong to make them switch it.
Yeah, we did talk with New Zealand about that, and it's an idea that once you go out something, there is an opportunity cost if you swap. So you're right, this is a case where they do have confidence in their composition. So we'll see what they come out with here on Control. But again, the pressure is on. Don't forget that this is a very competitive group that's going in here, where we know that Team USA right now is looking to be quite strong. Chinese Taipei, the favorite for many people going into this group, and then Brazil, very much an X factor.
Yeah, that's going to be a great set. I'm really looking forward to being able to watch that one. Looks like we are headed into Control, and a little bit of a wild card here. I thought they were going to go to Lijiang Tower. We are going to Nepal, and this is actually a better map for USA, one of their better Control maps.
USA is going to be very comfortable here. Of course, there was a long period of time the Western scene where Nepal was the Control map of choice. Of course, it went back and forth between Nepal and Lijiang for quite a while, but this is a map that everyone on Team USA is very comfortable with. So the hill to climb here will be somewhat steep indeed for New Zealand.
Well, we are on the Sanctum stage, and you know what I'm looking for, ZP. On Sanctum, on Nepal. Do we see it? Junkrat, come on.
No,
Let's
it's
get some
Junkrat, but
Junkrat.
there's also Orisa.
That's also, yeah.
There's a lot of cool pocket picks you can do here on Nepal that you don't always see, but can be very effective. But right now, taking a look at the teams, it does look like the United States has no reason to swap off of what went very well for them just a map ago on Hollywood. They're going to stick with this triple tank setup.
Yeah, one of the reasons Jake is on this team is that he can run absolutely everything, and it allows Sinatra the flexibility to get off the Tracer because Jake can play a good Tracer. However, New Zealand is coming out with something a little bit interesting. We'll see if they leave Spawn with it. We've got one of your favorite heroes in McCree, and they are going to run that slower tank style with a Reinhardt and a Zarya combination.
McCree can be very effective here, and Sign was showing very good mechanical play on the Sombra. I'm excited to see what he might be able to do here on everyone's favorite Cowboy. But this first fight underway. Both teams fighting for the high ground here on the Sanctum, rolling right in. It's the United States still a more dominant positioning, pushing New Zealand back. And they're going to be tearing through that Reinhardt shield sooner rather than later.
They should end up favoring the United States. They're just getting more aggressive on that shield. That shield now cracked and down, and you see Sinatra take that cue to run in. However, Sign already showing up, sealing and delivering, takes down Jake right away.
Jake underestimating that McCree. That gives New Zealand an edge here. New Zealand now moving up, 6 versus 5. United States, they have to back up and give this respect. Now they're down. Fact fiction. This is big for New Zealand as they catch the United States a bit off guard.
Very patient, punishing the United States aggression, able to catch it on, and now Jake has switched off of that Tracer. Now that he's seen the McCree, of course, that's Tracer's natural counter with the flashbang, able to stop flankers dead in their tracks. Jake's going to go over to the 76, also a very good hero on this particular stage.
Yeah, Jake right now, he does not want to fight that McCree straight up, but somehow the United States able to come back in and retake the point despite the decent start of New Zealand. But they're going to come in here with the Graviton Surge. Immediately answered by Rockets, who built up the Transcendence. The United States, very healthy. The Graviton not going to do quite what they want. And for now, the United States controlling a good amount of space.
It was an interesting Graviton there. They are starting to use some ultimates on the side of New Zealand to try to bring this fight back. Now with Matt out of the fight, it opens things up for their McCree. But Blade comes out for Will, does not find what he's looking for, gets beamed down by Sinatra.
And here's the problem right now for New Zealand is that even when they are getting good kills, they're not getting taking full control of the fight. United States is able to keep fights alive that they might be at a disadvantage of, and when they get an advantage, they crush through New Zealand. This has been a problem for them so far, and now look at Sinatra, creeping, waiting, stalking, and there's a graviton and picks up everyone on the New Zealand side. Will the fall through be there? They're able to sustain, at least for now.
It's a great reaction there by Birdie. He dropped the sound barrier, able to keep his entire team alive, so he completely negated that all, but they're not able to escape quickly enough, and that is a triple-digit energy Zarya. That makes things just go away. It's like the eraser in the paint program.
The eraser in the paint program. Too many times have I had to resort to that next, for reasons you don't want to know. But United States right now, able to keep firm control here on the Sanctum, and they're using the map terrain very well, where New Zealand, oftentimes you do feel forced to go through that choke point, and the United States had a good welcoming party for them there.
They're going to go through the choke point, and Sinatra's going to have another grab waiting for him. He just used it. That's not fair, Sinatra.
Sinatra not playing by the rules anymore, and a graviton of his own going to come out, pulling in again the entire New Zealand team, and the United States is there for the fall through. It's a clean sweep. New Zealand has been liberated.
That is just dirty, and now at 90% for the United States, they're just going to go right outside the shuttle. They are popping visors right outside. A statement position here from the USA. No way that New Zealand could even get out and touch this point. The United States will take the first stage of Nepal.
And the crowd, Hex, is loving it right now. That's just round one right now, and the United States making a statement here early on. New Zealand isn't able to reverse course here into this next round. What we might see is a very quick 2-0 to open up this group stage.
Yeah, some great signs out there, and we did see J Cap's suit right there. J Captain America, if you will. That's a good looking suit. You're really getting into the spirit of things. Such a great event, that the nationalism, just a great showcase for Overwatch, meeting all these teams. New Zealand, as passionate as they are and as good as they want to show up, have to dig a little deeper here, because that was a rough stage for them.
It was very rough, and again, one thing I will continually point to is what Sinatra was doing on Zarya was practically unfair. You're not supposed to get gravitons that quickly. But perhaps good news for New Zealand, but perhaps not. We will see a swap up to the United States, no longer at triple tank, now going a double flanker composition to open up the shrine.
I don't know if I'd ever call Sinatra on Tracer good news for anyone. One of the most dominant Tracers in all of the scene. Jake's going to swap over to Genji. They're showing the versatility of this team, and already a beautiful initiation from Fact Fiction. Takes down both support heroes. He gets 3 eliminations, 4 eliminations right off the bat from Fact.
I thought Winston was supposed to give some sort of sign when he was raging out there, because Fact Fiction, no ultimate required, getting 4. Very good opening here from the United States. And now they are in firm control here yet again. New Zealand already on the back foot.
It's been difficult overall for New Zealand to find entry, even Hollywood, and now again on Nepal. This is a more wide open map. They have choices to come in, and just where is their initiation going to come from? Who is their first dive target, and can they get that opening elimination to start the fight?
Well, New Zealand right now, they're looking for the way in, but they're not being decisive. The United States poking them from all ends. They get signed early on, and now there's blood in the water. The United States moving in. They have no chill here whatsoever. Deep diving into New Zealand territory.
You know what's funny is I think Sinatra gets gravitons quicker than he gets pulse bombs.
I don't understand, but you were correct.
That doesn't seem right. All right, so New Zealand needs to find something here to go in on. And on Hollywood, it was Willex's blade. He's going to be near that dragon blade again. He was shut down here and there, but that has been a decisive factor for them in some of these fights.
Well, speaking of blades right now, Jake has his blade armed and at the ready, and we know that he's very good at executing with those blades. Sinatra's already down, so it's up to Jake. And oh my goodness, Cantus shuts that down immediately. New Zealand perhaps finding some life here on the shrine.
They do get 3 eliminations. They are cleaning up the rest of it. It's just going to be Fact. He's going to pop Primal Rage. Now, this is smart. He's all alone. It's 1v6, but Primal Rage gives you 1,000 HP, able to stall it out on the point. You're going to trade ultimates for percentage points there. That's what Fact Fiction's doing. And also buys a little time for Sinatra to get back up. They're fine staggering onto this point because they're still in control of the point.
The United States, yes, they might end up losing this here, but they're forcing New Zealand to use some of their whole biggest rockets. Has nothing of it. Plays footsie right in Willex's face, and the United States coming right back in. Nothing for free. The motto right now for the USA.
Best melee in the game, bar none. Best melee in the game. A monk boot to the dome, takes him down, and all off the back of Fact Fiction using Primal Rage. USA is almost going to take this map.
New Zealand had 5 ultimates up there and positioning. You shouldn't lose this, but they are. United States coming right in, cruising right through. They're going to hold on. Overtime ticking away, and that will be the United States taking Nepal.
He talked a little bit about the mechanical play of the United States, but right there you saw the intelligence and the strategy of the United States, using the primal rage to start it off, and then allowing Sinatraa to come back in, dance around the point as Tracer, not even really doing damage, just getting a toe on the point to keep control. It allowed the rest of the team to stagger in, just really smart strategy executed perfectly.
And the other thing that was really impressive to me was just the part where you saw the versatility coming out here from the Team USA team, where they came in with a composition you don't see as often here. But to break that down and more, let's throw it to our desk.
Thank you so much, guys. And wow, what a game there so far for the Americans. Team USA currently up 2-0 here. And Flame, I mean, I got to ask you, this team, they're bringing everything. It feels like they're bringing everything to them here, even though what's worrisome is that it feels like they're not even showing all their cards yet. So what are your thoughts?
I mean, on that note, too, I do think that New Zealand's kind of putting they're putting themselves in a rough spot. I do think that some of their compositions weren't as well thought out as maybe I would have anticipated. They're running a tracerless offense and defense on Hollywood. It's kind of strange, and you lack a lot of damage when you do stuff like that. So I think it did make the game look a little bit more one-sided than anyone would have thought, or I think that they thought was going to happen. But then you saw when they came back to Nepal, they did try the McCree. They tried to bring in a little bit more damage to their compositions, and it almost worked out for them.
Yeah, and one major takeaway from game one was Sinatraa.
Oh,
I mean,
my goodness.
this guy, like, so in Poland, we had Zumba really try and make the case for Zarya, and you know, he's like the best Zarya in the world. I mean, I think everyone can agree on this. And then Sinatra's like, yo, hold my drink. You know, I mean, even though he's 16 years old, so it's like a Kool-Aid, but still.
Listen,
like,
he's good. He's not
yeah.
Zumba, but he's good.
Yeah.
And he has that potential to you know, achieve and surpass. But, you know, it was just so refreshing to see that triple tank come out on Hollywood. It was a little surprising even for our casters there. And you saw how Sinatraa controlled Zarya, always with the full charge.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And the frequency of his Graviton Surge is also super impressive.
Yeah, there were a lot of, I mean, I want to look at a few plays actually from him on the Zarya in this last map, because we saw him on Hollywood. He had a lot of really good zoning ones. This one in particular, though, he wanted to keep them in spawn, but it didn't really work out for him. And like right here, he's waiting for the Winston, waiting for the D.Va, and you can see that they're about to finish the map. So he throws this out trying to catch the Winston, but the Winston gets out. And he turns around there, and you just see like, okay, whoops, maybe I shouldn't have used it there. But it still doesn't matter because he is getting them that fast. And even on Nepal, you saw him use it in that choke at the beginning, and the Lucio sound barriers, then suddenly he has another one. So there's a lot of like weird mistakes or just plays that are being made that are kind of backfiring for New Zealand. Like you want a sound barrier or a Graviton, but at the same time your whole team lives, then suddenly the Zarya has that much more HP to kill after that Graviton's over to give the Zarya another one. So yeah. It's just stuff like that, but he is a great Zarya, and he's obviously well-versed on it.
Yeah, it's been a joy to watch him play that hero, and I'm looking forward to seeing what more he could do going into Game 3. But we did get an opportunity to catch up with the Americans and get their thoughts on the event and what their goals are going into the 2017 Overwatch World Cup.
The Overwatch World Cup in general is just an opportunity for, you know, each nation to really show what it's got in terms of Overwatch. And I think Overwatch is amazing in that it's such a global game. You know, you see some other games where they're sort of noticeably more popular in one region or another. But Overwatch is one of the few, I would say, that really has found that global following. So I think it's a really exciting time to be, you know, getting a national team to compete against one another.
The competition is higher this year because there was committee members that got to choose and have tryouts.
When I found out that I got selected for the team, I called my mom. I was so psyched. I mean, it's one of my, I would say my biggest achievement in Overwatch so far is just to be on this team.
I think the team is amazing. I think we're currently underrated on the internet, Reddit, all those social media sites.
You know, I think some other teams here are, you know, full professional rosters, and a lot of people think that that's going to give them a really significant edge, but there's a lot of value in having, you know, an absolute power player on every single spot in the roster, and that's really what Team USA is bringing.
Each spot was well thought out, and we have a lot of synergy with each other, so I think everyone's going to be really happy and excited to see what we can bring out.
You know, we spent a long time in tryouts. We you know, spent a couple weeks of you know, bringing in a lot of players, you know, a lot more than the 6 that you see today. But ultimately, the committee felt that the 6 that we have today are, you know, a healthy combination of the most talented individuals and those that will work the best together and, you know, build that positive team environment together.
Making it to BlizzCon would be awesome because it would give us the chance to get revenge on South Korea and prove to everyone that we are the best nation and team in the world right now.
As a country, we have such a wide talent pool that frankly, it would just be a disappointment not to qualify for BlizzCon. It's absolutely within our reach, and I would say it's an expectation. So for us, it's just a matter of fulfilling that and, you know, just playing our game, you know, bringing what we practiced.
I think we have a really strong team, and I think we're going to surprise everyone.
Myself and Team USA, we are looking to do nothing less than win, you know, looking to get first seed in our group and then qualify for BlizzCon from there. And honestly, I don't think it's going to be too much of a challenge.
And Team USA with a lot of confidence there, but on the other side of the stage, you have a very game, very eager New Zealand roster, Zoe. And I was impressed by some of the things that they brought out, right? They're not afraid to mix it up, change it up, and do something different.
Yeah, and I mean, I was really impressed with the player. Signed, he showed up on the Sombra, and whereas on their offense, on their defense, it didn't really work out for them. On the offense, I felt like he really shone on that Sombra. The only problem he had in the end was just that there wasn't a real follow-up from his teammates. In general, it felt like New Zealand had some issues with positioning, like they didn't create enough space, they didn't manage to zone USA, so that caused some issues. But Signed really showed up on the Sombra, but also on Nepal, on the McCree, switching to that McCree, taking care of that Tracer, forcing Jake to actually switch onto the Soldier. So Signed really impressed me alongside with Willex as well, who had a lot of great moments on his Genji in that first game. So I just hope that they can create more space for those players to really shine.
Yeah, I think they need to figure out who's going to be doing the damage, because as you mentioned, they did have the EMPs, they did have the Dragon Blades, but that was like all they had. And you need more. You need someone that's going to make plays when there aren't Dragon Blades up, when there aren't EMPs up. And I think that was really what was lacking. When you don't run that Tracer, you really don't have the Pulse Bomb that can just get you that pick. I thought the Sombra play from Signed was phenomenal. I thought there was one fight, I think he just killed both supports off screen, and you don't really see that, but they still won the fight because, again, he hits the EMP, nobody's there to get any more kills. So
I think actually we can put that down on when we got to talk to them beforehand, before this tournament started. They did say that they only just recently started practicing with Sombra, and it's one thing to have a talented Sombra. It's one thing to have a Sombra who knows what she's doing, but the team also needs to be able to play around the Sombra, and that felt a bit lacking there. No follow-ups.
So now, you know, talking about Signed here, great player. Really looking forward to seeing what he could do, so I certainly agree with you on that. Rachel, who is your player to watch on Team USA?
I got to go back to Sinatra. I mean, if we're going to talk about how great Signed was on McCree, he had to go onto that McCree to counter Tracer. Of course, that was Jake on Tracer for Hollywood, but then it was Sinatra's turn to step up on Tracer on Nepal, and we saw a lot of really smart play. Not just aggro play, not just kills, but he was getting his feet on the point there, making sure they kept control, Hex pointed out, and just a general smart teamworky play from a team that is, as Jake said, 6 separate powerhouses.
Yeah, it's pretty scary, Flame, when you think about it. He's also a free agent, so, you know, hint, hint.
Hint, hint. I mean, one thing I want to point out, too, is that him going to Zarya, I think, was them saying, okay, it's your first time on stage, play something you're really comfortable with. And you can tell that that's really just his hero. Zarya is his hero. A lot of players can't make it work right now, but he is definitely one of the few that you can see, just, you can do it. And I think that that was more or less, hey, we're going to prove ourselves here, we're going to get ourselves on stage, we're going to play what we're good at, and we're going to show the world what we can do.
Well, guys, it's time to see how New Zealand is going to respond as we get ready for games 3 and 4 between USA and New Zealand. Send it over to your casters, ZP and Hexagrams.
Thank you, Golden Boy. Of course, we are back. Halftime is over. Map 3 about to begin, Hex, and we saw a great opening there from Team USA.
It was exactly what we wanted to see out of Team USA, and now they got the nerves out of the way. We're a little bit concerned. Jake and Sinatra, young kids, never really played in this kind of environment before, but based on their play, they don't seem real nervous at all, ZP.
I mean, if Sinatra had nervousness, he expresses his nervousness by charging Graviton far faster than anyone else does, so it's a pretty good expression of nervousness.
Sinatra's such a great Overwatch story because we've been around this for a while, and even when we were casting games earlier and Sinatra was an unknown quantity, wasn't on a team, we always heard whispers out like, you got to see this kid. You got to see this kid coming up. And then he was on a team, made a name. Now he's on Team USA. Just a great story for him.
Very much so. I mean, there was thoughts in the beginning that he was sort of in Defran's shadow and was wondering, well, how much of this is Defran making room for him? But Sinatra has certainly come into his own in the last few months and proving it right now here in the Overwatch World Cup 2017. But Hex, we're headed to the moon.
Yeah, my name is Hex and we're going to the moon. Horizon Lunar Colony, one of the newer maps here. It's going to be Assault. It will be New Zealand trying to attack first. This map has an area where there's no gravity, ZP. You're defying gravity, if you will.
Well, I mean, all the heroes are actually playing here are heroes that were ejected from the earth in various different Overwatch maps. Like, where you wonder where those ragdolls go, where they just eject into the air. Yeah. They end up here.
Yeah, there's a big pile of them outside on Horizon. There's actually Lunar Rovers that only job is to collect stray ragdolls on this map. One of the newer maps, Assault can be an interesting mode. On every other Assault map, we generally see a lot of Sombra, especially defensive Sombras on Assault maps on first and last, but we could see a lot of different variation here. And I think if you're New Zealand, you try to do something a little bit out of character, out of sorts. This is their favorite Assault map, though.
It is, and I think one thing you're looking at here from New Zealand is that they might be coming out the Widowmaker, and it makes sense. One good way of getting in on a team that might be outplaying you in some respects, give yourself a numerical advantage. One of the heroes that can do early burst damage to give you that 6v5 opportunity is Widowmaker. So seeing what Sign does here will be very interesting as he tries to give New Zealand some new life as we open up here on Horizon.
An interesting composition you don't always see. They're going to run a Mercy on offense, but without a Pharah. Now, one of the reasons you run a Pharah with a Mercy is to give her that vertical escape. We'll see how that comes into play.
New Zealand right now working their way in. United States giving them plenty of room right now. They're not contesting them yet, but if they cross this line, they very well might. They lose Sinatra immediately, though. This is a very good start for New Zealand.
Willex's Genji has been great for them to open things up. However, the counterplay from USA is to take out both of the supports. Now back and forth right now. New Zealand, not a very clean entry. I don't think they're going to get this. They're losing too much, ZP.
They're not going to get right now. They will have an advantage of respawns coming right back in. But again, this United States team is persistent, if nothing else. We've seen over and over again New Zealand can sometimes catch them off guard and get an advantage, but they're able to stick around long enough for respawns to get back in.
The next fight's going to be extremely interesting because Cantus, as you can see, is getting up to his resurrection. He has the ability to bring people back to life if they die in a certain area or on the point. Signed will also be able to see through walls.
Indeed, and now New Zealand right now going right in. The United States holding firm directed into the point. They've really given up the idea of really initiating into New Zealand right now. So New Zealand taking control, but will they be able to capitalize? They're trying to go on the map, but the EMP is out.
This is a spot where Sign needs to come through on Widowmaker. Everyone is in the back. He's got free range in the back line, but it is Sinatra and Fact Fiction coming up huge again. The kills are not necessarily overwhelming, but who they're killing is overwhelming. They're taking down both supports every time.
The problem right now for New Zealand is that they're never able to take these fights decisively, and you have to win in practice. Sniper for sniper. That was in the lore at one point, but it went the other way.
Well, Raucus doesn't have the powerful rifle, but he's got the aim right there, able to take down his counterpart. Sign so far not finding exactly what he wants with the Widow. We describe her as feast or famine. So far it's been famine, but again, Sinatra down early to Willex.
New Zealand right now, this is their window. They have the early pick. They have 4 ultimates. They're rolling right in. Willex, though, under pressure, not able to immediately go with the blade. That was Matt pressuring him from behind, and now New Zealand, they're taking it slow when they should be taking it fast. Willex, finally, though, goes with the blade, finds Adam, gets a double kill, and now New Zealand perhaps opening the way.
They absolutely need to get aggressive. That's what they did there with the blade, but they can get aggressive and they can die here too. They have the resurrection. You have to use res. There it is. The resurrection will bring back the Winston and the Lucio player full strength now for New Zealand.
Kansas right now, of course, a bit of a mercy main, able to use that, bring his team back up to the fight, but will it be enough? New Zealand right now struggling to get control as now it's Fact Fiction, the one delaying. He's going to fall, however, though, but has enough delay been done? New Zealand, they're taking full control of the point. They have 5 members on it. It does look like they're getting rounds.
They finally get there. They're still running the Widow. I think Widow's better on second point, actually, but they're going to switch off of it. Sign will go over to the Tracer instead to get those flanks in action. And though the Widow wasn't showing up huge in the kill feed, it forces your team to fight differently than you're used to. You take away those sight lines, you take away those safe paths that the defense is used to playing. Jake will have EMP ready, can shut down this next push from New Zealand.
And the United States are going to have to really rely on this EMP from Jake. They don't have a whole lot else, but EMP can be very good. And sometimes it's the only ultimate you need to stop a team from getting the engagement they want. New Zealand right now, they're taking their time. Every engage they do, it's not super quick, but now finally they go in, but EMP is in. Lights out for New Zealand as the United States dives into the back.
Jake will give up his life for it. They have found a support again. The USA has just been hunting down supports. Cool Matt took down Cantus to begin. And with assault maps, when the offense doesn't get that clean first kill or they don't get a decisive fight, it's kind of a reset. You need to go in there and get as many kills as possible as the offense. It's got to be like 3 or 4 kills at least.
And that's problematic for New Zealand right now here, Hex, because they have not been able to get these decisive fights that they need, and they're not going to have the respawn advantage going to second like they did on first.
They said they like a slower, more methodical style. We're seeing it come into play now. They have a lot to work with now. I wouldn't mind a sound barrier into a Dragon Blade for this offense to go in, but getting chipped down a little bit. The Tracers from USA have been so annoying in the back line.
Well, we're seeing there Sinatra's drawing 4 people back. That's really big. The distraction ruins New Zealand's ability to immediately go in the way they want. But now, perhaps playtime is over. They're looking like they want commit right now. Willix moving in with the rest of the team. Dragon Blade is out. Ligabrill is already in, so if he's going to support this Winston, he has to go in now, and he does. Finds Raucus early on, conserves the blade. It's a good opening here for New Zealand as they approach the point.
It was a beautiful dive. They're going to double down and throw it on the sound barrier. Actually, both sides come out. Willix has his signature blade out. He is looking for the Lucio. Will find Adam, even though he's trying to Wolverine. Gets another one. And Jake, that is 3 kills. This is the opening you need on assault maps.
This is very good for New Zealand. They might have caught the USA a bit off guard right now. Now the United States, they have to delay. The Transcendence is out, but New Zealand getting tick after tick right now. 2 ticks already in their favor as the United States working to come back out. But they have been able to reestablish the United States fully back alive as they try and fight New Zealand off.
The United States is going to have some very important ultimates coming online shortly here. The self-destruct takes down Sign. That's a huge part of the damage dealing capabilities. Jake's able to DMAC, and for all intents and purposes, this push is over as the retreat is full effect for New Zealand.
Again, what we are seeing right now from the United States is that they can bleed, but they're very good at limiting the damage from wounds sustained, where even though New Zealand had a very big advantage, the United States was able to regroup, be intelligent about it, come back out, and push them off. So now New Zealand down to their final 2 minutes and attempting to crack this point.
On the other side of things, the United States down to their final tick. They have no ground to give up. Now tick, of course, 33%. They're going to be at 66% at the very least. Only need a little bit of control on this last push to be able to close out the map for New Zealand. They're going to have a nano boost. What target do you want to see it on?
Nano boost right now, maybe Willix if he's able to get the blade, but you can also throw it on Ligabrill, who has been going far in front very often. However, the United States, they might be feeling a little bit more aggressive. They have the blade in reserve right now. You still have Sinatra working towards the back line, being a big distraction, and now here comes Ligabrill. He's going to leap his way back in. Look at the nano boost. Who knows? Jake, though, in the back line. Dragon Blade out, looking for the kill. No! Cut right down. Top 10 battles for New Zealand. They're going to be coming right back in.
Blade meets Blade, and Willix gets the better part of it. They open it up with 2 very strong kills. Ligabrill does go down, though. Losing even 1 here on your offense is never a great sign. Self-destruct over the top takes down Adam. The USA is bleeding.
Well, they are bleeding right now. They do not have much room to give, but New Zealand, they're forced out. They were very much poked down, and the United States, they are going to reestablish here. So in the end, New Zealand, they add a little bit of progress to their overall part, but it's not going to help them on this next push where they still have to get a full tick.
Jake, for a moment, I think, was trying to convince his team to let him run a Bastion. He splashed it for a moment. He said he might want to run it this tournament, but his team says it's too important. Down to a minute, though. Below a minute now. New Zealand, very likely their last good push incoming.
New Zealand right now, if they're going to make this a good push, they're going to have to drop the beat. Birdie, though, under pressure. They're trying to make him use it early, but he's able to back out, get healed back in. But Ligabrill, he's in trouble. He's going to follow Sinatra, not able to get out of the danger zone. And now New Zealand, they're going to lose crucial time as they wait for him to come back in.
This is what they told us they let Sinatra do. They said, we just don't even talk to Sinatra. He doesn't get on comms or anything. We just let Sinatra do Sinatra things. And that's him in the back line. They say, yeah, he just murders everything and then we clean up if we have to. That's exactly what you're seeing. He's been so far in the back line, and it's been so aggressive, and it's throwing New Zealand off.
Well, Hex, going into this last fight, it could be a tale of barriers and blades.
As often it is in the meta right now in Overwatch, it's going to be Willix who won the last Blade v Blade fight, but here it comes.
They're on the way right now. Sound Bear is in. The blade is out. New Zealand, everything on the line. Looking to pierce through the United States here, but it's shaken to the back. He cripples their healing by taking down the Ana immediately, and suddenly New Zealand stuck, down players. Overtime is in progress, and it's looking like the United States will be holding New Zealand off. Overtime starting to tick down as New Zealand is thrown off the point.
It was Blade v Blade right there. Jake just a little bit quicker with his draw, was able to take on a support right away.
Oh, the crowd is loving the comeback there from the United States. It did get a little bit dicey there where New Zealand perhaps surprising the United States on some of those attacks, but again, the United States very much a survivor here so far, able to limit the damage. And now, their path to victory here for Horizon, relatively simple. They just need to capture the second point, and that'll be it.
I always find that amusing with assault maps. Relatively simple, just need to capture last. Last on assault maps are notoriously difficult to capture, as they should be. Defender's advantage in full effect there with the respawns, and it can be difficult. Lunar Colony especially is a difficult map to cap on last. We'll see what kind of composition they want to run. The US has already shown us a lot of variation.
United States so far, definitely a flexible team. Certainly, though, there are points where perhaps they get a little bit too aggressive, they lose someone early on. We've been seeing that oftentimes with flankers, where as good as Sinatra's been, there were moments there where he went a little bit too deep, got picked off, and that gave New Zealand some of their better opportunities.
Yeah, Sinatra running wild. Sinatra, as I mentioned, just doing Sinatra things. His team gives him all the freedom in the world to just play that Tracer, and why wouldn't you? I mean, just given the results that come out, they say he doesn't even really mention where he is or what he's doing, but we see him in the kill feed. We know that he's still on the team somewhere.
Sinatra, whether he be in the front line as a Zarya or the back line as a Tracer, he has been a thorn in the side of New Zealand for sure. But Hex, we are still on the moon, and now we get to see how the United States goes about here on their defense.
It was a little bit interesting that New Zealand dropped the Mercy right away, because one of the fights that they won on their first push was off the back of a Resurrection, and then Kantas got off it, and maybe the geography doesn't lend itself to him running the Mercy there, but it seemed like that was their most successful attempt at a first push. United States now on the offense, and they're going to show some versatility again. Jake on 76. Raucus can play absolutely every support. He's going to be on the Ana. I don't think we're going to see Matt on much else except for D.Va. One of the best D.Va in North America, in my opinion. One of the best in the world.
Matt is absolutely phenomenal in D.Va. We know he can play more than that, but why would you right now with how good D.Va is? Matt certainly feels comfortable playing that D.Va, but now the United States, they're beginning their approach, going up this right side to open things out.
Right side is where they choose to aggress. They are met with a very small resistance. Now they just take the high ground for free, as both teams will stand off in the high ground. Really not big engagement just yet, but the U.S. just walking right onto the point. New Zealand lets them.
New Zealand now have to go back, but they get their bounty. Jake already down from the New Zealand flank, and now the United States gonna have to fight this back short-handed. Only 5 players in New Zealand moves back to protect their point. They did give up a ticket early on, though, so with this equalizing kill, New Zealand now under pressure.
Matt just roving around, helping out whoever needs just a little bit more damage on the D.Va. He gets in, but it is Huwu who actually brings it back a little bit for New Zealand. He gets a double kill, but now Jake has rejoined the fray using Sprint to get back to the fight quickly as Soldier 76. And though they grabbed a couple kills, did New Zealand, United States will be capturing this first point.
Look, Hex, Soldier might be an old guy, but he definitely has the most hustle in the entire Overwatch cast. That guy, he tries hard.
He's faster than I am, that's for sure. His sprint ability able to get him back there. It's why he's so valuable in some of these fights where you need reinforcements. The United States stalled it out long enough to get him back in, and now we haven't even entered the ultimate phase of the game yet. So far, United States has been much better at executing their ultimates.
United States are very close to having a potent combination. The Nano Blade could be underway, which is when you use a Nano Boost onto a Genji using Dragon Blade. It's very good, and Sinatra could be the man of the hour here, looking for his opportunity. They lose Adam early on, though, and that might give the United States a little bit of pause.
They should be backing up a little bit. The United States has been good fighting these uneven situations. Now it's evened up, though. Jake gets down signed right away, and Adam's also going to be able to rejoin them. Lucio can get back into this fight. They have all 6 ults up.
The United States is ready to go right now. Their war chest is full. They're waiting for the opportunity. The Dragon Blade is out. New Zealand comes in a blade of their own, but won't be enough. Sinatra, the Nano Boost on him, looking for targets into the back, slicing into that Ana, and is going to get it with the aid of Fact Fiction. Now the United States, 6v4. This could be their victory push.
This could be round 2 for them. They only used 3 ults there. They're going to save 3 more. The tactical visor from the high ground. That is brutal. No way to get back onto this point as Jake cleans up. However, good stall. They haven't gotten any permanent progress on the point. New Zealand stalling out well, but it might be too much now, ZP.
Jake's positioning right now is great. You have to deal with the Soldier here. You can't let him do it for free, but they have so many threats. Jake gonna take that down with the aid of the Ana. They're rolling right forward, and the United States takes map number 3.
Yet again, just beautiful economy from the United States. They started the fight using 3 ultimates. Matt used a self-destruct to get them progress on the point, and then they comboed in the last remaining ultimates. Soldier on the high grounds. It's so tough, especially when you're just coming out of spawn. If you let them get their position, you don't have the people to go challenge it because you have to stay on the point.
Absolutely, and the thing we see from the U.S. front line is that it's very dominating. So if you let them get into a position like that where they have control of the point, and now you have to get through the 2 burly bouncers of Fact Fiction and Cool Matt just to get up to Jake, well, you're in a very tough position. So the United States, what we've seen from them over and over again so far in the set is that when they claim an advantage, it is very difficult to actually take it back. In reverse, when you get an advantage against them, they find ways of clawing back.
We spoke about Cool Matt being the best D.Va. What makes him the best D.Va is that he can do everything on D.Va. Some D.Vas are defensive and they will protect their supports, and some D.Vas are offensive and they're going to bully down ultimates. What Matt did there was even another facet of D.Va's game where someone calls for a little bit of help and he flies up and he helps finish them off. He turns those 1v1s that his DPS start into 2v1s and he finishes those eliminations. His game sense is incredible.
Matt's game sense is very good at both looking for advantages, where you can look for weak points in the other team and go on the offense. And it's very good at maintaining advantages and going back and protecting your team. It's why his diva play is so intelligent and able to give the United States advantages in some of these fights on top of all the other things they have going for them, and things like Sinatra's Tracer play, Fact Fiction just rumbling through on his Winston. New Zealand now, they can't win the set, but they can bloody the United States and get a key map and helping them stay alive here in this group stage.
I think New Zealand has identified one of the issues, and it's that they shouldn't be taking 1v1s because they end up turning into 2v1s from the United States because the tanks are always there to jump in. They need to play a little closer together as a team. I think that's when they've had their most success, to not get called out in the backline. What the United States is doing that's making it difficult is their tracer play. It's throwing a wrench in their plans when they move out, that half the team has to look behind them because they're taking a clip in the back.
Well, Hex, we are back in America right now, and what could be more American than Route 66? Final map of the set coming up.
Getting our kicks on Route 66. Good old Deadlock Gorge, train, heist. I mean, there is really nothing more American. We've had Hollywood, we have Route 66. We got the right maps for the stage here. Route 66, though, I think you'd have to give the advantage slightly to the United States because they are definitely more comfortable running the ultra-mobile dive composition, taking away high ground.
There's a lot of room here for your flankers to work as well,
yes,
in terms of going around the back line. Lots of terrain you can use to really interrupt the other team as they try and move in. So the United States, they're going to feel comfortable on this map right now, no matter what New Zealand tries to throw at them. And who knows, maybe we'll see them go back to the triple tank. There are some very nice graviton areas on this map.
Absolutely. We saw the diner there. Some of our European colleagues were wondering, what's the appeal of a diner? And I'm like, you just don't get it. It's a diner. You know, I guess it's a very American thing to sit down at a stool, greasy spoon, cup of coffee. I like diners.
Diners are pretty good. I'm not quite sure Impressed Reinforce.
No, he was Reinforce not impressed.
I don't think it was his favorite dining experience, but hey, why not?
Panorama Diner. I heard the coffee is not that great, but that's all right. Well, Route 66, I'm kind of rooting for New Zealand a little bit. I don't like seeing anyone get shut out. You know, I mean, USA all the way, I get that, and they need to dominate and they want to put on a show, but zero, you don't want a zero in that column. Goose egg.
Well, Hex, with this crowd cheering, I think that they want to see a zero in that column. They're out for blood.
Fair enough. The crowd's been great supporting our hometown boys here, starting it off. United States versus New Zealand. This is a map you can run Widow on, but were you really sold by Sign's Widow on Lunar Colony?
He didn't get the picks he was looking for, but Widow is variable. There are times where you can have the best Widowmaker in your game on your team at a given point, but even if you're hitting 90% of your shots, there's the 10% you're not going to hit, and sometimes you roll that 10% a little bit more than you would like. So I'm still fine with New Zealand trying it out here, as Widow can be one of the ways of establishing control as an offense here on Route 66. There are good sight lines to exploit, and the United States have been very aggressive. There are times where you can punish them.
Well, we do see the United States running a defensive Sombra here, which has been all the vogue lately on Route 66, able to play around those very large health packs, able to charge that ultimate quickly. They will use one of their supports on it. Raucus, of course, the Swiss Army knife of supports, is going to play that Sombra for their team, all about getting that EMP charged up.
New Zealand right now going through that early tunnel. Like the United States back a bit, but you want to talk about getting the EMP charged up. Raucus already at 90%. The lights might be turning out sooner than New Zealand ever could have imagined here as they try and push a pelt up. And there it is, the EMP out for the United States, and they're diving right in.
And diving right off is Willix. He does not want to see the end of that. He does not want to give them any sort of ultimate charge. Just goes right off the edge once that EMP comes out. Perhaps the cyber agilities button on his suit broke and he just fell.
Well, I just personally think he couldn't face the music there. It was Adam who moved him right off. So pretty rough engage there early on for New Zealand, but great stuff from Raucus to build that EMP up that quickly. That buys the rest of the United States defense time to get their ultimates up as well.
Signed was able to get a pick there, but it was on Adam, who should be able to be back in this fight. Willix finds himself with his rest of his team looking for a little bit of damage. Cool Matt a little bit around. Signed is now able to see through walls using his ultimate ability. Should see some action out of the Widow.
And the United States are actually respecting this. They're not giving them the sight lines they want right now. They're backing up. They're saying to New Zealand, look, you guys have to move in towards us. And Willix, more than happy to oblige, diving right into that tunnel, but also going right back. The United States not giving clear engagement targets, and Raucus has has his EMP up again, and he's going to drop it right to the back line.
Jake was being hunted down from the back, but then the EMP comes off, and you see the cleanup right there. Yet again, the United States able to completely crush that fight and shut it down. New Zealand's had a little progress around the bend, but the United States is not falling back to that point. They're still fighting out front. Now some wholesale changes coming in from the side of New Zealand. Sign switches over to McCree, a hero he's been comfortable on, and Cantus is going to stay on this Mercy, I believe, just to get a resurrection off. It's been good for them when they've gotten reses.
Back coming out here from Raucus. And the problem I'll say here at the McCree is that with how aggressive the United States has been, I don't know if Sign is going to have room to breathe right now. If New Zealand isn't able to get an early pickoff using this McCree, it's very likely they're going to get swarmed. They do have a resurrection in tow right now to bring back a fight that might be against them, but the United States right now just not giving them any room to work with.
They have the resurrection, so they need to be two things that they haven't been so far today. Aggressive and decisive, but that is almost the fight over already. A Sign down. Matt is going to zone out and gets the Lucio with his self-destruct. 4K, but back to life.
The resurrection comes in, but that just makes him even. The EMP comes out. The lights are out. Jake diving to the back line, slices through Sign again. He's not able to stay alive, and the United States says, it's fine if you come back to life. We are very good at killing zombies.
You never want to use the resurrection just to bring your team even. You want to give your team an advantage. We call it a tempo resurrection to bring you to a 6v4. You never want to bring it back up 6v6, but in that case, they wanted to switch. They wanted to use it because they need Cantus over. They are switching. They're going to be ultimate behind now in less than a minute left.
That's really big. The United States, they did have to back up and regroup since they lost a few people, but Jake, not able to get back out in time. New Zealand now with an opportunity. They still have a ways to go here on this payload. The United States will have a chance to come back in.
They will come back in. They have Sound Barrier and a Pulse Bomb can end this fight before it starts. That is Sinatra who's got that going. Right now, though, Sign in a great position to deal with these flankers. He's going to try to get pot shots onto the cart, and they do get 3 kills right off the bat. Raucus tries to bring it back with 2, but that's it.
Raucus, though, I wonder if he's done enough here to give the United States a little bit of hope. He is very low on the back line, but Jake gets on the birdie. I just don't know if it's enough. They've bloodied New Zealand here, but they lost so many early on, including Matt's taking presence, that it's difficult. And yeah,
they're out.
Their mobile defenders are actually able to push New Zealand back. And we're down to about 13 seconds. They don't have time to waste.
It's just the scrappy DPS. Sinatra and Jake just mechanically out-duel their co-partners there, and they were able to get the kills and bring it back. Less than 5 seconds left. New Zealand against the wall.
New Zealand, they now have to be all in. United States has bought themselves an opportunity to finish this out right now. We are in overtime. Sign. It's high noon. Looking for targets. Gets Jake, but gets punished in turn. 2-1 right now in favor of the United States. Looking to end this right here on this defense, but New Zealand having none of it. They get the advantage. The Dragon Blade is out, and will it be enough to push the U.S. back?
Well, they are trading back and forth, and the offense still in this, but Sinatra comes up again, and he's able to kill one of the supports. That means it's very difficult for Will to stay alive. He falls to Sinatra yet again. It is all on Sign now just to keep this alive with his Winston.
He's trying to buy some time, but the United States having none of it. They have a dominant presence here on this payload. Overtime ticks down, and it's a successful defense by the United States.
Cantus so close to getting there.
That is tension right there. That is a team that is looking for a way through next.
That's Jake's default look, though. Just grinning and happy. He's just very happy to be at the event, very talkative guy. You know, we talk about the U.S. and there's a lot of doubters and people on social media saying, I don't think they're going to be that good. What's great about this U.S. team is they don't care. They don't care that people don't think they're going to be good. They are supremely confident in their own abilities. This group has really come together. They like hanging out with each other, and they're just not listening to the outside noise. They'll deal with that later. They're just going to play.
Realistically, though, I think most of the United States power is coming from the man in the audience in the bald eagle costume, because that's just phenomenal.
Oh, yeah, it's their spirit animal, obviously.
More ways than one.
It's got to be great for them to be able to play in front of this audience who's giving them all this great support. And you know what? I think they really want to go a 4-0 for the audience. They want to show their dominance here. They want to establish their position in the Overwatch World Cup. And it's been great for them so far. That's not very difficult for them to go 4-0 here. That cart only needs to go to just to the first point, really, ZP.
That is a very close yellow box victory, as we like to call it here, where the United States, if they're able to bring the payload to that marker, that will be it. They will end their first day as 4-0. for New Zealand, if they want to give themselves more life in this group stage, to get themselves on the board and have something to work with, they're going to have to come up with an even better defense than what the United States had just a moment ago.
A very difficult defense. However, Route 66 has been a map where if you want to be very aggressive on your defense, you can hold a team before even first bent. I think they've got the correct composition to do just that, as the Sombra is absolutely critical to be able to do that. You need to take fights, as many fights as possible on the defense. The problem with New Zealand is today, so far, they haven't been as aggressive, assertive as they need to be in some of these fights to have that kind of defense, but we'll see what they do here.
Well, Hex, perhaps Jake was inspired. He saw Sign coming out with the McCree. Now it's going to be Jake coming out with the McCree of Zone, and we've seen him have very good moments in the past with combinations like Ana and McCree, where you run the Electric Cowboy Nano Boost onto him. Not going to see the Ana here, but Jake still very confident on this character.
They are giving up a lot of free space, and right now Matt is able to take down one of the tanks on the other side. That's a great entry kill for this team. I really thought New Zealand was going to want to fight around the other side of this bend here, but now just letting the USA bully them back.
New Zealand right now already against the wall. The United States one team fight away from already finishing out this map. They have dominant positioning. They have better poke. New Zealand, they drop the EMP, but they're not able to capitalize. The Sombra gives her life, and there's nothing to be had as Jake creeps to the back. Gets the support kill and looks for more. The United States on the verge of taking the map.
There's been nothing for New Zealand going right this so far. The blade also comes out, and they just clean up. They use ults just for good measure. USA wins Route 66.
Well, Hex, the crowd wanted a show, and they got one. The United States opening up the first match of the day, 4-0. A great showing for the hometown team.
Exactly what they needed to do, establish dominance, and I think a lot of people are going to be kind of quiet on the forums who are doubting USA.
The really nice thing about this US team is that they showed multiple different things that they were good at. They were not a team that had to only rely on one strategy. We saw their trademark flexibility here, and if you're the other teams in the group, it also doesn't give you the greatest idea of what to prepare for, because we know they're capable of a lot.
I enjoyed their aggression, especially on defense. They never let teams get comfortable. They never let New Zealand set up and get in position to, we need to do this ult and that ult. And you saw New Zealand several times trying to push in. The USA said, we have someone back in the back line messing with you. They never let a team get comfortable. Aggressive defense, I think, is a great style.
No doubt about it. Well, guys, that was the first match of the day. We still have 3 more great matches coming your way. We're going to be taking a short break. When we be back, there'll be more Overwatch.